Not a shadow of doubt. It's the Crockett Show in social media history. I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone. My man Donovan Sadiq will be in a minute. I got the Queen, Demetra K, and I am the 5-star general. I told you yesterday it ain't gonna stop. It ain't gonna stop, man. Columbus, Ohio. Was he justified in the shooting? Or was it just another bad shooting? We're gonna talk about it tonight. Say, man, I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone and tell you thank you for taking the time out to tune in. You know, you're the best audience in the world. There's no doubt about that. So we appreciate you taking the time out to hang out with us. My man Donovan Sadiq, he'll be along in a minute. You know, he's a cat lover. He loves cats. So he had to handle some business with his cat. Now, me, I'm a cat lover too. But I ain't got to take my cats to the vet. I can promise you that. Might have to take them to the gynecologist, but we ain't got to take them to the vet. Yeah, but my man will be here in a minute. Me and Demetra gonna hold it down till he get up in here. I know y'all like for us to get loose, man, and we love getting loose, man. But you know, YouTube is really screening everybody's pages nowadays, so we got to kind of watch what we say. So I have to just use some code words for different things. But my man Donovan is in the building. Fill us in on the news, my friend.
Right. Hey, you guys. Again, everybody is still now. The big talk in the news is, and by the way, I want to please excuse me for being late. I just received a $400 and something bill for my one cat. So I was kind of in shock about that. But what's going on in the news actually is this. Now that the Mr. Chauvin has been adjudicated guilty, now is the sentencing phase. So everybody's really talking about, you know, what's going to happen to him and how police reform is going to happen to change. A lot of people saying, just like the 5-star has said, who's an aspiring Esquire, has a little background, has a lot of background in it, is that you're looking at this guy was a police officer, probably never been arrested before and all that other stuff. He's probably looking at 12 years, if that, based on what the judge is going to do. And I want you guys to write this down. I said it today. You're going to see a lot of these police officers and district attorneys and prosecutors, when it comes to law enforcement, they are now going to start seeking bench trials because they have shown that they can't rely on juries. And now that the AG in Kentucky told the grand jury there that, oh, you didn't have to go by the charges I wanted you to go. You guys can put any charges you want. So the cat is out of the bag for law enforcement officials who want to continue with the white supremacy BS that's going down. So that's what's going down with that. Also, we are looking at, once again, Kamala Harris has made a comment that it is a step in the right direction, this verdict. But where's the legislation? I mean, you're not going to change anything if you don't have the legislation behind it to help change and mandate a change in the police forces across the board. So again, it's a bunch of what did she say? We're going to ask the Congress to really push the George Floyd bill, which is toothless. But the fact is, you got all three parts of the government. So why do you have to ask? You just say vote on it and get it passed. But see, this is what we've been telling you. And symbolism, and we love it. We love symbolism until the next tragedy. So, Demetra, what do you got?
Before she go, let me fill you in, D. I forgot. I mean, you know, I hate fake activism. I hate people that's out here acting like they down with you. Today, I had to give some checkups from the neck up in the city of Minneapolis. Now, we all know that I'm the Central Region Minister of Politics for the new Black Panther Party. And we got some folk running around here frauding like they members of the new Black Panther Party. So, Demetra, I had a Huey P. Newton moment. You either change your name or we finna have some problems around here. That's all it boils down to. All that fake activism, I don't care what city you in, what state you in. If you where I'm at, I'm calling you out home, boy. So, you know, it is what it is. This weekend, we have a maneuver. The Brown Berets, the Black Panther Nation and the new Black Panther Party and a couple of other good people in regards to Adam Toledo. We're gonna have a march for Adam Toledo out of Chicago. So if you faking and you got our colors on, you don't think you're at the script club. Mess around, be naked on the street corner playing with us with this man. We ain't playing no game, Demetri.
I changed my name because you said I need to change my name. So my new name is Sister Girl. I've been called that quite a bit. So tonight I'm Sister Girl, all right? But anyway, if you guys can do us a favor, and welcome, by the way, to Wednesday. Welcome to the Wednesday night edition of the War Zone. Hope you're having a fabulous week. It is hump day. You're halfway there. You can share this live so everybody else can get the information and join in on the conversation. We would greatly appreciate it. And before we get into our topic at hand, Gary, what you doing there? What's going on now?
I mean, it's still what it is, man. People, they got to wait to make weeks to get the actual sentence. And they have something in their brain, which is about 25 years. And if they don't get 25, they say they're going to burn this place down. They're going to burn it down. I mean, this is what it is. My man's viewing, Dante's viewing was today. Al them got to make it a spectacle. And I don't think that's what it should be. But that's not my family, and I don't make those calls. In the meantime, they're still over at Brooklyn Center protesting. They're going to keep protesting. They want the charges upgraded on the officer that killed Dante. So we kind of right where we were. They took everything with a grain of salt with the verdict. It shocked a lot of people. Nobody expected it because they dealt with, failure for so long. But they got it, and now they've moved on, and now they've refocused, and they're focusing on the actual sentence itself. And this weekend, I think in the city is going to be a nice time because it's going to be a lot of celebrating George. And, like we say, we're getting down for Adam Toledo in the streets, man. We just going to do what we do. So that's kind of where we are. But, I got my eyes out for these fake activists in the process.
Well, so let's go ahead and get into it. I think enough people are here by now. Again, share, so everybody else can get in on the conversation. We promised to read some of y'all comments. All right. So unfortunately, moments before the Derek Chauvin verdict was read, another police shooting took place in Ohio, and it was that of Ma'Khia Bryant, a 16-year-old. Now, from what the stories are saying, she called the police because some girls came, I guess, to, fight, jump her. And from what I heard one of the 911 calls saying, some girls are here and they're trying to beat up my grandma, right? So the police chief was not necessarily saying or confirming that it was her that called, but her family, Ma'Khia's family, is saying that she is the one that called the police. Now, if you guys were able to see that very unfortunate, hard to watch video, police officers arrived at the scene, and a melee is breaking out. There was a guy involved, looked like he was trying to kick somebody on the ground, and just a lot was going on. And Ma'Khia, because I've seen the still photo all over the internet of her lunging at one girl against the car with a knife. And so from that point, the police officer, it sounds like 5 bullets went into Ma'Khia, and she was actually pronounced dead. And so there's a lot of discussion going on as to who's right, who's wrong, and this, that, and the other. So that's what we know so far. Of course, the police officer has been taken off of active duty pending the investigation, and the authorities there are saying they want to give a full investigation and an accounting for what happened. And as you guys also know, they released the video, body cams, all angles fairly quickly. And I think because they feel like, they're in the right, and probably they wanted to keep down on protests because they did have a protest there, and maybe they didn't want it to get off the hook there. And so again, they want to make sure a thorough investigation is had, and everybody and their mama has tweeted or posted about what happened to Ma'Khia. And so I'll let you guys go before I give my opinion.
Well, I'll go ahead and say this. You know, I kind of watched the video and I shot a video what I saw. And good thing that I said this because, you know, a lot of people have different opinions. I didn't see all of the videos. But Demetria, what do I always say on my show? I hold a lot of black men accountable. You know, before the police even arrived, you had grown black men. You know, it's funny how we hear from these black men after the woman has been laid out and spread out, talking about why did you do that, whatever. Well, my question is, you're grown ass black men. Why did it even get to that situation at that point? I know it's easy to armchair quarterback and everything, but where is it that black men just let women carry on like this, much less young girls carry on like this, and then you want to complain after the fact? They could have handled that right before even the police got there. And then my other question is, you have an authority that shows up and the people are still showing out. I didn't understand that. Again, I just saw one side of the video. If there's other videos, I probably haven't seen it yet. That's a very close call. I'm not going to say that anybody, I don't know why the guy didn't use his taser. Why is it that whenever there's a problem, the police go to their guns immediately? Yes, a taser hurts, but the person possibly could be alive, depending if they have heart problems or whatever, but they could possibly be alive. And then to shoot the person 4 to 5 times, I will never understand that. So what do you got to say, Gary?
This is our fault. This is our fault. And the reason I say that it's our fault is because we never bitch and complain about the laws that we're governed by until they go against us. We don't complain about the fact that according to Ohio law, it was that man's responsibility to protect that young lady that died, as well as the third party, and as well as himself. Now, I'm going to be the devil tonight, and I know some of y'all going to get mad. That was a clean shooting. I'm sorry. It was a clean shooting. I get it with the guys being there, they punks. They should have stopped it before it got out of hand. That's just my honest opinion. But you got a split-second reaction that you have to employ. Now, I know we want to get rid of the police and we want justice reform and all that. I'm with for all that. We want to defund the police. But when you defund them, whose community is going to hurt worse? They're just not going to send cops to our community. The rich community can afford private security. But bottom line to me, it was a clean shooting. If you think about it, if you don't want to see what I saw, he gave 2 commands when he got out the car. He gave 2 commands. And the thing is, he's justified. That's the reason they released those tapes so fast, because under Ohio law, he's covered. And from the eyes of Gary Monroe, he made a decision. Now, he may not have made good decisions after he did it with some of the stuff that he said, but that's a clean shoot. There ain't nothing coming from that. That's my opinion.
Well, I totally disagree with you. I totally disagree because there's a lot of questions to be asked. She called the police from what they're saying. Ohio was also a stand your ground state. So who's to say she wasn't standing her ground and protecting herself? Why didn't they ask that question? And could he have put a shot in the air? Could he shot her in the booty, the leg, or something? Did he need to administer deadly force? You know, that we've seen that play out before. Them just jump on the scene, shoot to kill, and then now we're pondering what really happened. Now, from what we understand, and again, there's a lot still coming out. It sounds like some girls went to her house. Now, admittedly, she's in foster care, but that doesn't mean that wasn't her house. Went to her house to jump her. So, I mean, at what point do I get to protect myself? Now, that is legal. She was able to protect herself even up to killing somebody in order to do that. That's Ohio law. So, how did he know that she, wasn't protecting herself? Now, I know, we've seen her run out, but we don't know what happened before that. Clearly, some things were out of hand because indeed 2 people called 911. But we are talking about a 16-year-old child, 16-year-old girl who is no longer here, because oftentimes police officers are trigger happy. Now, you know, God, oh, I almost cussed, but we can't do that no more on YouTube, right? We know good and well, had that been Becky Sue and Karen's kids up out there, that police officer wouldn't have got out there like Rambo and shot that girl. He probably would have shot in the air or whatever. And we also didn't take into account that he could have shot the girl that was, you know, allegedly getting ready to get stabbed. So he just out there shooting. And that's the same thing. Well, there wasn't a fight involved, but the same thing was done to Tamir Rice. The officer saw that he had a gun in less than 3 seconds. He rolls up on the scene and he murders him. So I don't think that was a clean shooting. Like, there's a lot of questions that need to be asked.
Right. You know, I'm going to agree with you, Demetri, you know, partially, because here's the thing. Okay. Right. We don't know. I mean, the officer had no clue who was who. Could it been the pink girl, been the aggressor, or whatever? But the fact of the matter is, as soon as the authority figure arrived, as we see in the video, this girl is still being the aggressor with the knife. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying in a situation like that, she was still being aggressive rather than saying, okay, the police is here. Let me tell them what's going on, whatever. She still was aggressive in her person.
So when you are in a heat of passion, which we've all been in a heat of passion, we've been mad to where we wanted to strangle somebody, whatever. A lot of times you don't always listen to reason or hear at all. Like, you ever heard of somebody going black? Now, you know, I don't know what their situation was, but the fact that the police was there and he was already out of control, clearly, when the police came, but it like all happened so fast. And the first thing he can think of, now I get it. From his, you know, vantage point, it looks like somebody was going to get stabbed. But how you know? And I'm just going to sound morbid, but I'm asking because I like to ask all the questions. I ain't one of those people who just see something and be like, oh, well, you know, how do you know that girl didn't deserve to be stabbed? I'm just asking. You know, I'm not saying she did, but I'm saying there's so many questions that he didn't get to ask because he shot first. And now we are pondering what really happened. But Ohio was a stand your ground state. Was she standing her ground?
Was she standing her ground? Looking at it through the lens of the eye of the law, if Gary Monroe pulls up and I see somebody with a knife and they're being the aggressor, stand your ground is not going to work when you went from being the victim to being the aggressor. And I got like a split second to figure this out. No, I can't figure it out. I can't play counselor at that moment. I see a knife. I see you about to. I got to do what I got to do. At that point, I got to do. I know y'all wanted him to shoot now. I know you wanted him to shoot in the leg. Police officers are not trained that way. They are trained to shoot center mass from here in your chest area. That's what they're trained to do. So this is why I say we failed. We did that because if you want these laws changed, you're going to have to get some people in there to change them. This is what we live and die by. Now, do I think that if he had enough time, he could have solved it differently? Yes, I do. But I don't think that he had enough time. I think when he went to the right, his peripheral vision, his vision, looking over this way, he saw what he saw, and he had to react. When they go through the academy, they train them just like that. So now you have to ask yourself, are they training them properly? They're not going to shoot now. They're not going to shoot for your legs. They're going to shoot center mass. He did his job as bad as I want it not to be what it is. It is what it is.
He didn't do his job if there are questions to be asked. Again, if you live in that state, you know that is an stand your ground state. You didn't know what the situation was before you rolled up. So, I mean, I get it. And I think to me, it's nonsense that if you change the laws, you cannot apply a law to people who are innately, okay? A lot of these people are innately racist. I think we are forgetting where the police department originates from. It originates because of slavery, the patty rollers and the slave patrols. And so you're not going to out-legislate to some degree. Largely, I don't think you can out-legislate. Not saying he acted in racism. That's not what I'm saying. But you're not going to out-legislate that type of behavior. And we know, for the most part, had that been a different shade of people out there, he wouldn't have got on there and shot so quickly. I would imagine he would have thought of other things to do.
Well, yes. Here's my thing. That we can protest, we can take it to the streets, we can kumbaya. The reason that tape was released so fast because they telling you right now they feel it was a clean shoot. Otherwise, they'd have held that tape forever. In the city of Houston, we 3 years backlogged on shootings with tape being released. But as soon as they feel it's a clean shooting, they release them tapes. So they telling you right now, ain't nothing finna happen with this one. But from the view, from what I saw, that's why I couldn't speak on it in the airport yesterday, because I didn't know everything. And when I watched it at first, I said, God, dog, this is bad. But then when it slowed down, that's totally different now. It's just totally different. And I mean, I get the race soldier thing. I don't see that in this one. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. He had to make a decision, and he may have made an unpopular decision, but he did what he needed to do.
Yeah, let me play the devil's advocate here.
Donovan, and here's a question for you, Donovan. Mm-hmm. You can answer this here. What happens if he doesn't shoot and she actually stabs that girl? How long does he keep his job now?
Exactly, because he was in a position of to prevent, or if the girl, even let's say she got stabbed and she survives, now she could sue the city based on her injuries. All that, it's just a whole plethora of things. But let me play devil's advocate between Dimitri and Gary right now. Isn't this kind of funny? Is this one of those situations, Dimitri, that you would say that you'd have to see the whole tape, wait until the investigation comes by, because there are so many what ifs and possibilities depending on how you looked at this videotape. Somebody says in the comments there that it was a rookie and he wasn't the original officer on scene. So, again, it could be a race soldier that was like, hey, black person, pow, 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 pow. So, I mean, there's so many parameters in this shooting. But at the end of the day, a young black woman is dead, girl is dead. Grown ass black men stood and did nothing about it. Not saying, again, men, I come down really hard on the brothers because, we're not there for our families and stuff. And we're putting all this guys on the women. But this is a situation. I remember in high school, and Gary, you probably remember in high school, the girls would fight. And then when the one girl got a little bit, too much on the other girl, you pick them up and break them up. And that's the end of it. You take them away, So there was a failure all around in this shooting. It's just sad.
I totally agree with you. Back in the day, we just handled it like men and women, and we fought and we lived to see another day. I'm going to tell you what my good friend and your good friend, Mr. Scarface, says, Brad Jordan. He say, our kids have to use their brain. They have to learn how to make it home. Whatever needs to happen, they have to learn how to make it home. When you're interacting with the police, just make it home, man. And if you at home and he drive up and he say, stop, then just stop. You ain't no punk because you stopped. But if you keep going, you're making a grown-up decision at that point. I always tell kids, do not force these cops to do their job. Because if they're forced to do the job that they've been trained to do, even though we know sometimes they train them the wrong way, they're going to do an excellent goddamn job. And that's all it boils down to. I think that both of these families, or however many families involved, are not traumatized. One family lost a family member, and it is what it is. But these little angels, they don't have a cutoff. They don't have an off switch. So if you're going to go gorilla, you're going to have to deal with it when it comes to you.
So I guess it really remains to be seen The police officer department there is not outright coming out and saying it was a clean shooting. They are saying they are going to conduct a full investigation because they want to, make sure everything is out. It's just my opinion that something else should have been done. That was a child, a 16-year-old child that is no longer here because, it wasn't enough understanding being met. I just fully believe that if that was white people out there, nobody would be dead, more than likely. That's just my opinion, okay? Now, I think we also need to talk about something else here. I had a brother inbox me. He watches the show, and he says, what do you mean when you say get on code? He says, I always hear you and Donovan say that, and when I looked it up, I saw something else, and I immediately knew what he was talking about. And so there's two set of codes. There's one called the black codes, okay? That's what came out during Jim Crow. Black people couldn't loiter. You couldn't look at a white woman. You couldn't do this. And then they put you in the convict leasing program after they, put you in prison. So those are the black codes that were out of Jim Crow. Now, the particular black codes or on code that I speak of is a set of behaviors that black people need to exhibit with one another and within our community, right? And so I say all of that to say is because I think we in our community need to learn how to get on code. I can't tell you how many people I saw this morning before, a lot of the evidence or whatever that came out was agreeing with what that officer did to that little black girl, okay? Now, we need to be on code, and I'm not saying we need, because the black codes that I'm speaking of, and Neely Fuller Jr. actually fashioned those, and I directed the brother to go listen to a lot of Neely Fuller Jr. stuff on YouTube. He talks about us holding each other accountable, to the things that we're supposed to do as well. But we at some point in time just need to get on code and say we ain't gonna say nothing against our sister until we get all of the information. But I saw so many people, oh, well, he was right. Oh, she shouldn't have did this. And I'm like, y'all just can't wait. And I'm not talking about y'all, but y'all can't wait to just big up Massa. Wait until everything come out before you do that, because that's what everybody else do. Everybody else wait until they get all the information until further notice they with they people. But we need to get out of the habit of doing that. The other thing I want to say in regards to those black codes or being on code, as Neely Fuller Jr. says, there's a set of behaviors we need to exhibit. And I'm sorry, this may rub somebody the wrong way, but we in our community need to deal with ratchet culture, because that's what that was. What we saw is girls or whoever going to somebody else's house to fight them. You are in an open and carry state and a stand your ground state, and you think you're going to go to somebody's house and jump them? A lot of people would have shot you right on their porch. And so that's a huge issue. We need to stop teaching our young girls and young men, because it was a dude there too. Stop teaching them ill behavior. Teach them the set of codes that we honor one another. We don't show up to each other's houses to fight and to kill or be killed and all of that. So we that's what we need to deal with, because I'm going to concede the point that if those girls and those young men were taught a set of codes, then we wouldn't be having this discussion.
The biggest code that needs to be taught is conflict resolution. When you deal with these youngsters, and I've been out there with Troy Fenner, chief of police, with Dr. Muhammad, Reginald Gordon, who invented Scared Straight, and they stole it from him with HBO. This is my team. This is who I rock with. And we teach the kids conflict resolution. Ain't nothing wrong with telling somebody, man, you a punk, and I'm going to go about my business. I really don't want to whoop you today. See, because you can't whoop somebody in 2021 and go home and think it's good. You just can't, you can't take a behind whooping and it's good. You feel what I'm saying? So we need to teach more conflict resolution. How can you solve an issue without it becoming violent? How can you do that? You know how many times And I'm going to tell you, back when I was in the game, I'm supposed to have about 400 murder cases. Because I done had about 400 dudes run off with my dope. But you know what? It ain't worth me going to jail over. I just don't employ you anymore. I don't give you nothing anymore. So we have to teach these children conflict resolution. But in order to teach the kids, you're going to have to teach the parents first. Because the parents are the true problem. If it's a stand your ground state, I would have rather saw the video after the fact that somebody was laying on the ground stabbed, because now she has a true defense. They came to her house to attack her. She had to defend herself. You see what I'm saying? But the grown folks that was there, I keep telling y'all, these dudes are cowards, man. These dudes are cowards, man. How let anybody come to your house and do anything to you? Hold on, y'all. Hold on a second. Hold on. Hold on, don't do nothing. Hold on, just a second. Come to my house. Come to my house.
I thought you were gonna get the baseball bat.
I'm gonna scramble your brain if you come to my house. How you let this go on at your house? I wish you would come to mine. I'll put this skillet all up on your ass.
Yeah, you know, and you know, Dimitri, you know, after that soliloquy that you don't have to say that you are right in regards to what you were saying. And, you know, never thought about it that way. That is another reason why we have this platform. And I'm going to continue to tell you people like, share, and subscribe so that we can get this information out. But like in a situation, like somebody said in the comments that, you know, what was she doing in foster care? And, you know, and we're having a conversation, so please don't get in your feelings with this. Whatever reasons these kids are in foster care, yes, the parents fail, if that's your opinion or whatever, they're in foster care. But that to me doesn't have anything to do with the woman being shot and the incident happening. So, you know, I mean, what am I doing in California? I shouldn't technically be here because it's too damn expensive. But see what I'm saying? But it hasn't, that thing has nothing to do with the other. But however, here's the thing. A lot of people, I don't know if people saw it. The mother came out and did a press conference. She did a press conference about how her daughter was loving, and I'm very sure the daughter was loving and all of this other good stuff. But the 5-star said this, I say about 3.5 months ago. Are we out here sacrificing our kids for a check? Because it seems to me the mother wasn't really interested in what had happened to her daughter, other than, hey, she was a loving girl, you know, blah, blah, blah. She's, you know, lifeling, whatever. She's out there doing a press conference. Now, and I'm not judging anybody. I know it's going to come off like I'm judging. But if you could come out there and do a press conference, why isn't the daughter under your care, Mom? Why did this have to happen?
Man, let me tell you something. I'm going to make some of y'all mad again. You get to put their picture on a T-shirt. You get to say rest in peace. You get to do your GoFundMe. But all these kids that's dying ain't the ones that you talking about in the press conference. Some of these kids are exactly as advertised. Stop acting like these are some angels when it happened to them. If you want to live a certain way, you're going to die a certain way. And that's all it boils down to. Y'all see them every day, Donovan and Dimitri. You done seen them totally out of control. You ain't going to tell them nothing because, one, you don't want to get cussed out. You don't want to get in a physical confrontation with them. Let's just be 100 with it. The picture on the T-shirt, man, you supposed to have been dead 20 years ago.
So I'm just gonna say this: you can't tell somebody how to grieve, because you know people are saying, "Well, the mama wasn't crying." You don't know why that girl was in foster care. I mean, people in foster care for a whole host of reasons. Now, I guess we could pretty much draw a conclusion that it was maybe something lacking on the parent side because there's a father involved too. Ain't nobody heard from, right? But you can't tell people how to grieve. And I think when we do that, I think we dogpile on unnecessarily, because the fact of the matter is that 16-year-old is not here. And so we get into the habit of demonizing the mama. Oh, why was she in foster care? And all this other stuff. But the fact of the matter is the girl called the police. The Micaiah called the police, the one that was shot. And so, you know, to try to say because maybe she was in foster care, she was this way or that way. I mean, you just don't know. You know, my sister's a teacher, and she says people unnecessarily call CPS on kids all the time. She said a little boy was overheard saying that they didn't have no food or something like that at home. And one of the teachers called CPS instead of calling home and saying, you know, is everything okay? Or maybe going to the principal. So there's a lot of reasons. I don't know why she was in foster care, but there's a lot of reasons that they are. But I don't think we should, you know, jump on the mama, because I've never lost a child. Thank God. I don't think you two have. I know there's probably some people in the comment section that have, but last thing you want to be is demonized in process of grieving the loss of your child. Right.
But let me ask you this, is it correct? And like I said, it's subjective to whoever it is. You're doing a press conference. You just lost your child.
So what? So in this, like, if she didn't do a press conference, oh, where the mama at? You know, because if it was my child, I'd have been out there. I'd have been saying, you can't tell that lady how to grieve with her child. They did the same thing with Kanika Jenkins in Chicago. Her mama, you know, wasn't, you know, she cried and all that, but people want to tell people how to grieve. You can't tell me. My mom passed away. I didn't cry at her funeral. I didn't cry until after her funeral, as a matter of fact, because I was going through some things. But I didn't shed one tear at her funeral. I didn't shed a tear before then either. So you can't tell people how to grieve. Now, I cry now every once in a while because I miss my mom. But, you know, and then my sister, on the other hand, she was a mess. My brother didn't cry. And my other brother, I didn't see him cry either, but I don't know how they were grieving. So the point that I'm making is stop trying to apply a cookie cutter approach to what people should do when their loved one is taken from them so abruptly. Just because her daughter was in foster care, that don't mean she didn't love her.
I mean, I don't think foster care got nothing to do with what happened. That's just me. And I agree with you that you never know people's situations as far as why they're in foster care. Some people give up their children at birth because they feel they won't be able to provide a good life for them. So, I mean, it just depends on the situation. But Lucille Brooks Abado, if I'm saying your name wrong, please forgive me. What about the case of Anthony Thompson, the 17-year-old who was killed by the police in the school's restroom? So here's my question to you, Lucille. You go to school with a backpack with a gun in it, but no books in it. Do you understand that it's a violation of the law to have a gun on a school campus? No matter how they interact with you, it's not going to go good. I'm sorry. You cannot bring guns to school. Once again, conflict resolution. Some kids bring guns to school because they're afraid. Okay, we need to figure out how to deal with that. I really think that conflict resolution needs to be taught as part of the curriculum, because teachers are being beat up in the schoolhouses. The kids are being abused in the schoolhouses several different ways. Now, I don't know all the details of that case. I kind of tuned it out when I figured out the kid had a gun on the school campus. I'm the school guy. Come on, man, I'm running for school board. You don't need a gun on a school campus. If you got one, it's not going to go well. It's just not. Now, y'all tell me up because I know you read it.
Yeah, well, because I'm saying I read the case of the, I believe it was in Tennessee, of the little boy, to me, is a little boy, high schooler, was shot at the school bathroom. Now, originally they said that he shot the police officer, but the police officer shot himself in the leg. Now, what had happened was he was dating a little white girl, and the little white girl and him got into a physical argument, and the girl goes home and tells her mom, and her mom calls the police, and they called the school, and they tried to call his mom, say, hey, we called the police, because I guess he roughed her up pretty good. Police goes to the school. I guess they're looking for him, and they find him in the bathroom, and they shoot him to death. And the girl's mom is like, I wish I would have never called the police if I'd known they were going to kill him. I thought maybe they were going to go talk to him or something like that, but she says that wasn't her wish for them to kill him. But they lied on him at first and said that he had a gun. He did not have a gun. and he did not shoot the police officer.
Are we upset with mom for calling the police whose daughter came home with scratches on her face and hair messed up? He put his hands on that child. So you lucky the cops got to you before one of their daddies.
I'm not excusing what.
No. I know you're not.
But I'm saying I'm just giving some credence to the case, because that's what they were saying, is that he had a gun, but he did not have a gun, and the police department lied at first, and because remember they said, if y'all remember, it was an active shooter on school campus. That was a lie. It wasn't. The active shooter was the police officer that shot himself. So that's what happened. Now, I'm not saying she was wrong, for calling the police. I think she did what most people would have done, or maybe should have sent her uncles or daddy or somebody over there. But no, I'm not, saying that. The police officers were in the wrong in that case. They were supposed to go to the school, talk to him, and find out what's going on. And if they needed to, take him downtown. I mean, he wasn't supposed to end up dead.
Well, again, when you look at these schools, and you got to, especially here in California, where kids have to go through metal detectors before they even get to their lockers, you have a serious problem within our school district. But then here we go again. We've got laws that say that you can't bring guns to school, but we can't get laws to reform the police. We can't get laws to repeal qualified immunity. But yet, Democrat and Republican, not one, even until this day, nobody has even suggested writing anything to deal with these police shootings across the nation. That's something we need to look at, and nobody's asking that question.
Now, how do you pronounce this middle word, Demetra? Afro?
Diaspora
network. My man say police don't lie. Sarcasm. And Negroes don't either. Sarcasm. I'm just being straight up with you. You know why you ain't never saw a mass shooting on a black school campus? Because there's an administrator in the country that I don't know, they got 20 to 30 guns on them school campuses every day. So if you dumb enough to pull out a gun on a black campus, it's finna be an all-out shootout. It always happens on the white campus. I've seen the guns. I've dealt with campus police officers. I just feel that the kids are not making good decisions. They're not thinking things through. You got to think it all through. If you slap me, oh man, I'm going to bust you. I'm going to hit you. But I got to make sure I stay the victim, because you can flip from the victim to the aggressor. In California, that is a law. In the state of California, you can flip from being the victim to the aggressor and get more time than the person that attacked you. It can happen. But things happen so fast. I wouldn't want to be a police officer right now. It's happening too fast. You see what I'm saying? Like right now in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, another cop shooting. I don't know the details, but I posted it on my page. So we'll find out. And that's why I'm not speaking as fast on these shootings, because I want to know the details before I make an informed statement on it. But I mean, the young lady, I wish she could have grown up and been anything that she wanted to be. I just think when the man jumped out and gave the 2 commands, stop, it should have stopped right then. If it would have stopped right then, she would be here. Them people would have went to jail, because they did come to our house. They were trespassing. If she'd have stopped, we wouldn't be talking about this tonight.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of questions that weren't asked, and I know, police officers a lot of times have to act on the drop of a hat or a dime or whatever. But I just think, especially with the laws there were just a lot of other things that were unclear. What happened? Is she defending herself? Like, what's really going on here? But I believe that he'll be cleared, and I don't necessarily demonize him to that degree. I think he did, maybe act in haste, but was it malicious? I don't know. I don't think I quite saw that. I mean, there's a lot that we don't know. I don't think it was a malicious thing, but I just think had they had been something other than black, I think they would have been given a little bit more benefit of the doubt. I mean, that's just kind of how I see it. But I really think the conversation should go towards us raising better and conducive children in society, because children act like that when that example is set before them. I guarantee you that those girls probably have moms and dads, because it was a boy there too, moms and dads that behave that way, screaming and hollering and, you know, and whoop de whoop this, and I'm a whoop yo whoop, you know, all that. They probably, because you ever seen the videos, sometimes you see them on social media of the little girls, and they, you know, be telling me,
that's cute. That's cute.
Well, it's not cute, but they're getting that from their circle of influence. And that's probably the mom. You know, they probably see their mom on the phone. Girl, you know, I'm going to F her up. And who the hell she thinks she woo-woo? So that is what's been shown to them. So we need to get rid of that, because unfortunately that behavior has consequences. And the other thing too is this doggone television. A lot of that stuff, we see the housewives acting like that. Now, they don't necessarily get into fisticuffs because they got producers and security to break it up, but we see enough of that is glorified, you know, in our community on every show. The what is it? The Married to Medicine. Now these are some doctors. These are doctors, and those women that, I don't watch it. I see the commercials, but and I'm like, these are doctors. These are doctors. And then Al keeps saying Snowfall. You know, if you watch Snowfall or Power, any of those shows, it glorifies ill and ratchet behavior. So at some point in time, we're going to have to own up to the things that we perpetuate in our community as normal. That shouldn't be normal.
I think that when you get the opportunity, because I've done it, a lot of you out there with your comments, see if you can do a ride along with a cop. See if your police department will allow you to do a ride along with a cop. And then you will see from their eyes some of the stuff that they deal with. Lauren Jones says one shot can maybe be justified, but why the other three? Because, Lauren, the way that they train them is the way that he shot. They train them to do that. They're not training them to shoot you in the leg. They're training them, they call it center mass. They want your chest area right above your stomach up to your head. So when I go to gun training with the Panthers, when they put up the targets, all it has is center mass. I'm not looking for your leg if I got to spark that thing. I'm looking to knock your kidney out. That's what I'm doing. So, I mean, you, like I say, if you don't like some of this stuff, you're going to have to fight to get the laws changed. But I got a question. Do you black people want the police in the community or not? Do you want police in your community or not? And I'm going to tell you why I'm asking. Be careful what you wish for. Because these people that saying they're going to protect the community may become your worst enemy. Do you want the police in your community or not?
Yeah. What was that story in Dallas where that one lady, the neighbor called because her door was open on a hot night, and the cop went over there, didn't announce himself. He walks around the back of the thing, and he sees her silhouette and just pulls out his gun and just shoots.
Jefferson.
Yeah. I mean, it's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But at the same time, it goes back to your question, 5-star. Do we want the police? Do we want security or not? And it really doesn't take a lot to have a lot of security. Now, when I go to the affluent white areas here in California, you don't see a lot of police en masse, like a military occupation. You barely see them because of their streets are pristine, their yards are pristine, their representatives are taken care of. They are financially capable to deal with all that kind of stuff. The one thing we lack in our community is resources and finances. And yet we keep sending the same people back up to Congress to enrich themselves, which is fine if that's what they're going to do. Then we have the nerve to complain about our, neighborhoods looking like crap?
Some people need to clearly be honest. Let's be honest tonight. If something really happens in your neighborhood, you ain't calling no Black Panthers. You don't even know how to get in touch with them. You ain't calling no Black nationalist group. You don't even know how to get in touch with them. Who the hell you gonna call? The first person y'all call is the police. So do you want them in your community or not? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I can't live in a lawless society. I can't. They tried to put a gang injunction around one of our neighborhoods. The pastors and everybody and their mama went to war. We don't want that. And now your goddamn murder rate through the roof. Gary Monroe was the only one screaming. Say, man, you really do need one. Because y'all can't handle these people. Okay, so now that you don't have one, you don't have a plan on how to deal with it. So what's our plan to deal with violence if we want to get rid of the police?
Now let me ask a question. Who do people in Beverly Hills or affluent neighborhoods call when they have a need, or something is going on? Who do they call? They call the police, right?
Yep.
Now, the next question is, what caliber of police show up to their, whatever it is, disturbances? Do you often hear about police officers going to Beverly Hills or wherever your affluent area is and shoot them up and killing people? You don't hear that, do you? So the point that I'm making is, why can't I call the police and it calls some good police to come out and deal with my disturbances? So Black people, when we say we don't want police officers showing up, we don't want the kind that if I call on my uncle that's having a mental meltdown or something, I don't want the police officer to come to mow him down. I want a police officer that's going to come and try to understand that my uncle is not in his right mind. I don't want a police officer to show up and the first thing he do is reach for his gun. I want police officers that have compassion for Black people to come in there and deal with our situations like they would that white woman that lives in Beverly Hills, because the fact of the matter is we all pay taxes and we pay their salaries. And so do I want a world without police officers? No, I do not. Do I want a world without police officers that don't see us as humans? Yes, I do.
I'm gonna say this. If you live in Beverly Hills and something happens, what color is that police officer that's coming to that community?
Usually always white, and in California, it's Hispanic.
So if you live in Compton, what color is that officer that's coming to that community?
Hispanic and Asian.
I want the police to be here, but I need to have a discussion with my chief in Houston. Maybe you need to make our officers look like us. So when they pull up, they already have an ideology of how to deal with us. But we keep dispatching, especially at night. We keep putting people in our communities that are not African Americans, and this should go haywire every single time. It go haywire every single time. What you want is totally different than what you're gonna get. These people that can change things for us, the ones that they saying they holding accountable because they're putting them in office. They need to go do exactly what you want done, Demetri. They need to get us some competent police officers to work our community. But right now, ain't too many African Americans want to be cops. They'd rather drive a Uber.
So I think it should also be said that a lot of Black cops are behind the blue wall of violence as well. So to me, at this point, yes, we should have cops that look like us and that understand us. It has to be both, because a lot of these cops, especially Black ones, they gonna do, they think, I benefit from the blue shield too. I'm not Black, I'm blue. That's what they think. So we need people who can understand where we are coming from, and preferably somebody who has lived in the community or maybe still lives in the community. That's what they call community policing. Somebody who can relate to the community, but often they send people in there with preconceived notions about Black people. Oh, they criminals and they this, they that, they savages. we got to go in there and, and knock some heads together and all of that. That's what they think when they comment on our block. So we need somebody who is going to be able to relate to us. And as far as Black people not wanting to be police officers, I mean, you got to ask yourself, I mean, what am I going to have to do in order to be that? Am I going to have to watch some of these white race soldiers, harm my fellow people to keep my job? Because, in a lot of those police forces, they have harassment. They got a lot of bullying going on. If you say something to speak up, hell, we saw a Black lady who was fired in 2008 behind stopping one of her fellow officers for doing an illegal chokehold. And they just now gave her all of her money from 2008 and reinstated her pension. But they fired her unjustly for speaking up. So that's why a lot of Black people don't want to be officers, because they have to ask themselves, am I going to have to compromise who I am in order to do that? Yeah,
and that officer also faced homelessness at one time during that ordeal. A good movie that Al was saying when I saw it too, The Glass Shield, starring Ice Cube. That's a really good one. Ice Cube and Lori Petty. But in Louisiana, what they do is they let the officers take the vehicles and go home with the vehicle, the police vehicle, so it looks like a police presence, right? And I think that's a great program. But one thing I noticed is if you're a police officer, and I was born in Louisiana, and I just noticed this when I would visit. If you go down to the 9th Ward or the disproportionate place, police officers don't live there because they're making about $60,000. So you don't really see police officer cars in the ghetto, right? But, in the suburbs, out on the North Bank and stuff, you'll see those police officers. So, I think that would help, because that's a part of community policing, because the officers actually live in the neighborhoods that they police. It's just kind of crazy here in California and it's so sad since the Rodney King verdicts and all these other things. And once again, if you guys have been watching the news since the verdict came out, Rodney King's daughter, all of these Black women, once again, are being used to talk about, be peaceful and loving, and we're so great and we're so happy, and, all this other stuff. So we got to be careful about that. But, it's a good start to do it that way. But again, I think we have to address the pay for these officers, because some guys aren't making the money to even want to go into that career field. Because I applied to the police department, got up to the interview, and he asked me some bullshit about if my mama was taking a TV out of a store and didn't pay for it, what would I do? And that was a very good question, because I'm not going to go arrest my mama, but that was the answer I'm supposed to give. And then that told me right there, this isn't the thing I want to do.
Hold on a second. Father-daughter, let's see what she talking about. If you want police officers who look like us in our neighborhood, then you want segregated police forces. They're not going to do that. Well, baby, let me tell you a secret. I got a better education than a lot of kids because most of my teachers were Black. I'm just being straight up with you. I had a principal that told me I don't hire white teachers because they don't understand our children. They don't have the patience. Bottom line, when it comes to Black communities, we're policed at night. The percentile is 90 to 10%. It's 90% white officers in our community after dark compared to the daytime. You'll see a lot of Black cops during the daytime, but at night, when a lot of things go left, it's always with the white officers, and they're oversaturated with white officers. So I'm only saying that at the end of the day, give us the same respect you give River Oaks. In Beverly Hills at night, you got white folk patrolling them. At night, give us Black people. Give us Black people. But I'm just telling y'all, for those out there, we want to defund the police. Defund them. You better go to the gun range. Because once these killers figure out ain't no cops coming around here no more, they gonna show you.
I would just like to say this ultimately, in regards to community policing. If we as Black people would learn the codes, not the Black codes, well, they exist somewhere too, but the Black codes, put forth by Neely Fuller Jr., then I think we'd be better off. And we would ultimately police our own communities because we would hold ourselves accountable. Now, what I mean by that, Gary, I'm not saying we would run around with badges. I'm saying that, you know, I would police and hold my children accountable. You know, I'd be accountable for my household and, you know, teaching my children and, you know, people I'm directly influenced on how to behave. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be the total solve, because we know that there's some police officers who are just looking for action regardless of who you are, because we know that there have been plenty of good kids, good fathers, and good mothers who have been murdered by the police. But I'm saying, especially in regards to what we saw on that video in Ohio, that if we would start teaching our children how to behave and how to be appropriate, especially in public and everywhere else, then I think we could cut down on a lot of that. I just really believe that we do, but we've gotten so far away from that. We talk about that a lot on this show. It used to be a time when your mama friend up the street and everybody can, you know, hold the child accountable without them, yo mama get mad, don't be talking to my baby that way, and all of that. We used to can do those things. And so we really need to get back to that, because I believe for the most part that this situation that we saw on video in Ohio, I think it was avoidable.
I can't pronounce your name, Miss Leonard, but that's not, I guess you meant to say that's not what we meant. That's not what they meant when they say defund the police. I clearly know what defund the police means, but I also know that any decrease in funding, you could best believe it's going to be a decrease in personnel in the Black community and the poor communities. I'm just telling you what's going to happen. I've talked to several police chiefs and they totally agree. The rich white communities can afford to hire private security officers. Black police officers work extra jobs at the club. They go work security at the club. See, they at the club, and the white police officers, their extra security is additional patrol through River Oaks at night. So they're not going to have the stuff going on that we got going on. But like I say, man, for all of y'all that just don't get it, man, take you for, and I'm going to start with my community. Go on a ride through 3rd Ward by 9 o'clock. Take you a trip down MLK. Matter of fact, why don't you slide down Homestead and Tidwell? Man, I hope you got a good relationship with Jesus.
Hey, let me grab this comment real quick. David Bear says, white folks had to elect Biden. They're not going to put up with this again. David, I'm not sure if you're aware, Black folks elected Joe Biden. A lot of white folks were on the Trump bandwagon, so I'm not exactly sure where you're getting your numbers from. And Biden even acknowledged that by saying, you stood with me, I will stand with you. But I want to go back to what you were saying, 5-Star, about the defunding and all this other stuff. You know, it should be common sense to you guys by now that whenever politicians are talking about budget restraints and stuff, who takes the first hit? It's always education. It's always the social services programs. The baby boomers don't want their Social Security cut, but they don't have a problem with anybody after them having their Social Security cut. Corporations don't want their taxes cut. I mean, come on. That is how.
Funny. It's funny you say education, because like right now in the state of Texas, especially in the district that I'm in, HISD, they're cutting back the PUA, the amount of money you get per kid, $123 per kid. And in some schools, cutting that back on each child. Some schools, they're losing almost $800,000. But why? When the state of Texas from the last stimulus got $1.4 billion for education alone. But they will take from education, they'll take from funding the police so we can get them the proper training, mental health training, all that. But they pull straight from the things that we need the most.
Exactly. And that's how they do these budgetary tricks, so that, I mean, the rich don't pay for anything. They want their taxes low. We have a saying in the military that when the poorest man has to pick up the tab at a bar, you better get ready to wash some dishes.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, this is it's crazy. You hate to hear about anybody losing their life, especially a child. You know, it sounds like she had a lot of good things going for herself. She had a TikTok where she, you know, did hair tutorials and, you know, all of those things. It sounded like she was pretty bright, fun, you know, loving and all of that. A very unfortunate situation. But yeah, we got to get to a point where we just start, you know, getting the reins, getting control back over our children and ultimately our community. I mean, we just have to. At some point in time, you know, as pro-Black as I am, and I am pro-Black, okay, I got two fists sitting over here. Let's see. I got a big one and I got a small one, okay? Oh, hell, I got another one too. The point that I'm making is we can't blame everything on white people. You know, I know that sounds crazy coming from me, but we can't blame everything on white people. Some of this is on us. Some of this we have a lot of control over, you know. And, you know, to Terrence, how you doing? Says we see $1.3 trillion in our community and we give 97% of that away to everybody else, our community being, you know, Black people in America. You know, we start being more responsible with that money and we'll start having, you know, some more power. But ultimately, we just got to really ask ourselves some serious questions. You know, am I raising a child that's going to be productive and, as they said back in the day, a credit to our race? Or am I, and I'm not saying this about the girls or anybody involved in that situation, I'm just speaking in general, or am I raising monsters? Am I raising people who don't give a dang, because we ain't cussing no more, a dang about anybody but themselves? Who am I raising? Now, that's a question we need to ask ourselves when you know, the child comes into the world. The moment it gets into the world, and even before then, who do I want to raise? And if I want to raise somebody that's good, then I need to be good. I need to start, you know, pouring some good energy and knowledge and stuff into myself so that I can then pour that into my child.
Yeah, I just want to say, you know, in conclusion with that, Black men, we are the key to having our families be whole. I'm not saying you have to be with the woman. We know relationships don't work out, but that's no excuse not to provide for your child. That's no excuse for not being there for your child when they need you. You know, I'm getting sick and tired, like in this video. I don't know who the dad was or who the boyfriend was, but somebody was kicking that young girl in the face, and it was a male. And that's not the position that we should be in. You know, work with this woman, at least be there for your child at any capacity that you can do that. And that's a good start, because I'm sick and tired of these young girls looking for love with these men because they don't know how a man's supposed to treat them because their daddy wasn't there to teach them how they're supposed to be treated. So, you know, we have a lot to do, but, you know, it's not impossible. I'm optimistic about the whole thing. It's not impossible. We just have to get back to the basics.
Shalonda Stevens, Gary, how can we get you to come speak in our schools here in Lake Charles? Just book me. It's simple. Talk to your administration, see if they will allow me. And I would love to come and have a conversation with whoever. You can fill the auditorium up. I'm gonna shake the world up when I come through the door. I agree with y'all, and it's good to hear you say that, Demetra, because we can't keep blaming everybody for our own indiscretions. You know, you give so much, Demetra, okay, give so much information to Black people on this show alone that it amazes me that a lot of them just don't listen. They don't want to listen. You see what I'm saying? That's our thing. We don't understand that our kids are a target until they get shot. We don't understand that our kids are out of control until we got to bury. We don't understand our kids realistically are caught up in gang issues because we don't go up in the room and check their rooms. We don't understand that our child might be sleeping with their teacher because you don't want to monitor their phones. You see what I'm saying? All this stuff leads me to the point that you said. We cannot continue to keep blaming white folks for Black issues. We can't. And that's where we got to get on code at. Accepting responsibility, and I gotta say it, and hopefully you too, it's all messed up right now because we messed it up. We got to get on code and learn how to accept responsibility for the fact that we garbage parents. We have to accept the fact that we don't have no type of religion in our children's life. Whether it's Muslim, whether it's Baptist, Catholic, we don't have time for the higher power. The only person we got time for is Lil Boosie. Let's tell the truth. We garbage parents. We're garbage community members. We ain't gonna walk the community and help clean the community. Back in the day, you didn't have to get a group of kids that were on probation to go around the community and cut the old people yards. We did that just to make money. See, we don't teach our children that responsibility starts from the day you come out the womb. You want your child to be a viable adult? Teach them what it means to work. Teach them what it means to get out here and bust your behind for what you're going to get. They will value money at that point. You ain't got to worry about them trying to get Louis Vuitton like talking about because they ain't going to have enough. They got to learn how to budget their money. Why don't we teach our children financial literacy? No, we want to teach them how to twerk. We can't blame that on the white man. That's all on y'all.
Absolutely. The old saying is and I'm not saying the social safety net should never be there, but they're trying to cut that too. So what you going to do when they cut that? The same man that feeds you is the same man that can starve you. So we have to start being reliant within ourselves. Look at these other groups. You think these other groups came here and just automatically knew how to do group economics and how to spend among each other and do all the things that they're doing? We were the blueprint.
The only time a bunch of us do group economics, this is from experience. We ain't gonna put no money together to buy no land. We ain't gonna put no money together to go and buy no businesses. But let a motherfucker have a key of dope. I bet you we come up with that money. Let him have a pound of weed. I bet you we come up with that money. We got the money to do whatever we want to do. And that's why you can't keep blaming it on no white
man. Absolutely. So again, we got to solve the problems that are closest to us, and I don't know. I just, to me, I don't get why it's so hard for a lot of us to understand, but then I do get it because everybody wasn't brought up with a good set of parents, such as myself. Now, my parents weren't perfect. My parents weren't perfect at all. My mama wrote a book, okay, about her and my father's relationship. They weren't perfect, but what they did do is instill some values and some knowledge and, just morals and codes into my siblings and I. But, so the reason I'm saying that is because I don't know the other side of that, of, just kind of being lawless, not legally, but just in thought and just things that I do on an everyday basis because I had a good foundation. And so I just believe we need to get back to that. And if you can't be the good foundation, see if your mama, your daddy, an auntie, uncle, the neighbor, somebody who was a good influence in your life, see if they can, pinch hit for you until you get your stuff together. But don't just allow your children to be out there being negatively influenced by everybody. And Gary, you said a word when you said, that in our culture, twerking. Like, what the is that? That's what I hate to say it, but a lot of our girls know how to do that rather well. Somebody taught them that. So it's like, instead of teaching them twerking, you couldn't, as Farrakhan said, a lot of these, women could shake their behind, but don't know how to rattle no eggs in a pan. So you teaching them to twerk, but you ain't teaching them nothing they can actually use. I mean, after a while, when your booty drop, then what?
Well, think about this. Not only just twerking, we're teaching them how to use a condom. Some of them ain't knowing how to use it. We're teaching them how to roll paper, to smoke weed. We're teaching them everything that isn't beneficial to them to be a member of society in a positive way to affect their community. We can teach them all the negative, but it seems to me only a few of us can teach and really strive for the positive, you know. And I have a lot of HBCU friends, and I want to get anybody mad with this, but I had to debate a friend of mine from HBCU. My niece went to a HBCU. My son went to an HBCU. Expensive education, great foundation. My question to you HBCU people out there, Kamala Harris went to a HBCU. Where are the HBCU businesses? Where are the HBCU corporations? Why is it that you have all these graduates that come out of these HBCUs and there are no black businesses and there's nothing that we can apply to keep everything black?
They only went to the HBCU so that they could graduate and go work in white corporate America. They never had the ideologies of being wealthy. They only wanted to be rich. It's a big difference. My friend Tiffany Campbell, I saw her put up something one day. She was at a function with you know, them little or whatever. And she got home late, and her son, great athlete. And she say, this boy, something else. Asking me what I'm coming in the house so late for. She say she told him, you just make sure you got that garbage out on that curb in the morning. You see what I'm saying? Say, man, don't worry about me. I'm grown. You need to stay in your place and do what a kid supposed to do. Say, man, if you look, can I give it to you? I ain't gonna cuss though. I'm doing good. If you can twerk and can't read, you can keep it, shouting. If you're super fine and you can't put two sentences together, you can keep it, shouting. To think that a young black man cannot build a multi-million-dollar a year business is BS. You build drug empires. Big Meech, could you have taken your hustle and your game and did something else with it? You had the money to infiltrate the music industry, but you kept wanting to sell dope. See, the problem is not violating the law. We just don't know when we done won. We get out there and sell all the dope in the world and don't know when to stop. We just don't know. So are you raising your child to be a viable adult, or are you raising them so that you can bury them at a young age? Final thoughts, Ms. Demetri.
I would say this too. I just want to piggyback off of what you said, you know, as far as girls, you know, twerking and stuff like that, and, you know, can't read. You say, you know, she can twerk and can't read, you don't want her. What I need men to do is to really teach that message and really get out there and let these women know that. But see, you know, the other problem of that is a lot of men, and I'm not saying y'all, because I've ran across this a lot in my life, okay? A lot of men say they want a good woman. They want a smart woman, a woman who knows something, a woman who could cook, who can clean, and, you know, and can teach. And y'all say y'all want that. But then on the other side, y'all do go for the, you know, the twerker and the woman who ain't a cook. What's wrong? Y'all, that's what y'all go for. So I'm not saying y'all, but I'm saying I think that if men, and I'm putting this on the shoulder of men, I think if men would shun that behavior more and saying, while I'm probably a little attracted to you twerking, I'm going to settle down with somebody who knows something. A woman who knows her worth, and a woman who's going to be able to teach my baby something other than twerking. That's who I'm going to end up with. If men would start doing that more, I think these women who are out there doing that kind of stuff will be like, well, I don't have an audience for that as much. I'm just saying, I'm not blaming y'all, but I'm saying if y'all was to shun that more, I think we would see a little bit more of a turnaround. That's just my opinion.
Let's give them 11 more minutes. Can we do that? Let's give them 11 minutes, because I want to expound on that. When I was going to school, the two women that caught my attention more than anybody was our drama teacher, Miss Shelton, and my counselor, Miss Velma Johnson. The reason I say that, these were nicely shaped women, but they were highly educated. They walked into that school every day, suited and booted from top to bottom. They looked the part. You couldn't sit down in their offices and hold a conversation with them unless it was about intelligence. These young black girls didn't have a shot in that school of being nothing but an intelligent black woman because they were surrounded by intelligent black women. Now, a man can teach you some things, but it's going to take some intelligent black women to teach these twerkers that, baby, you're going to have to use more than your body to make it out here in this world. You're going to need more, because think about it. And people may say, well, he said black women, and they twerkers and they can't read. Well, you might find you a black guy, but he can't tell you too much if he can't read. You see what I'm saying? When we're in these places every day for all these numbers of hours, the influence surrounding these youngsters has to be on code. You can't be a teacher with your titties hanging halfway out and think she ain't seeing it. You can't be a teacher that the young girl gonna respect when your pants is so tight, look like you walking around with a yeast infection. Give them the example they deserve. Donovan?
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, on Thursday, we always have a young, not a young man, but an older man here. Walter Coulter comes in, black financial guru. For those that you guys, I just want to say this real quick because I'm a big advisor of this. The House just passed the Cannabis Banking Act. It's in the Senate right now. Now, you guys say, well, so what? The Cannabis Banking Act. Right now, if you own a cannabis shop, and a lot of these senators and rich people are setting up their cannabis thing for when this thing goes, they're going to make the most money off the top, right? So what's happening is they're setting this up, and they just passed it. If you own a cannabis shop right now, you can't go to a bank because your cannabis is a cash operation. So that, you can't go to a bank and and money launder the money in there. They just passed this. It just went to the Senate. It is a matter of time now before cannabis is legalized on the federal level. When that happens, boom. And you got to think about this. All these states that have lost money for people that have been out of work, the only way that they are going to replenish their coffers, one of the only ways, is through legalizing cannabis, because people are going to smoke it. People are so desensitized and all this other stuff. And that's what's going to happen. So I just want to pass that information on. If you're not paying attention, Walter Coulter always tells us, stocks and money and how to get the money on this side of it. This is what the New Black Media does. This is one of the things that this show particularly does. Not only do we send the general to the front lines, we try to talk about financial investments and things of that nature. If you're a young mom and you've got kids, you need to start investing right now so that by the time your child is going to graduate high school, you have enough money not to get student loans. You can just pay for their education right off the rip. So I just wanted to say that real quick. I think this was a great topic tonight. Again, I'm sorry I'm late. I taught Demetria everything she knows. For those that don't even know, I taught her everything she knows. So there it is.
Definitely a huge bill in regards to that. I used to be a personal banker, and there were certain things that you could not open an account for, and marijuana business was one of them. So now they're going to open the door for you to be able to do that. So that is a huge win, and especially if you own stocks. I do in the marijuana industry, looking for a big payday. But I want to go back to what Gary said. Yes, it is absolutely the women's job to teach the women. It is the older women's job to be the example, okay? Now, I agree with you. I'm 50, okay? And I see a lot of women my age, and you 50? I'm not saying you should dress like in polyesters and muumuus. I'm not that, because I don't be dressing like that either, okay? But what I am saying to all the things that you said, Gary, when you can't tell, and my dad says this. My dad is 77 years old. He says, nowadays, you can't tell a hoe from a housewife. Okay? So if that is you are supposed to be a woman that's setting the example, and your daughter or the girls that are in your life can't tell you from a streetwalker, you have an issue. Now, I'm not talking about just the way you dress, but I'm talking about the way you think and the way you speak. If you got Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion mentality and ways, and you got little girls watching you, what you think they gonna do? But the reason why I was bringing up the men is because oftentimes the girls and women do it for men. That's who they do it for. So if a lot of men would just start saying, what you say, Gary? Nah, you can keep your whatever, shawty, you can get. If men start saying that a little bit more often, I'm looking for a respectable woman, a woman who ain't talking all up under her clothes all the time, and she's got a little bit more conversation other than, you know, what she want to do to me and crab legs and all that other stuff. You know, if y'all start doing that more, I guarantee you, the women will start saying, okay, that ain't fashionable no more to just be out there. That's the point that I was making.
No, and I get it. I mean, the thing is, if you want some crab legs, then I tell you what, get you a cooler, and I'm gonna take you out there by the ship channel, and you go get you some. You go get you some crabs out there. That's what you can do. But some of y'all worried about crab legs and walking around with the crabs. So I'm just telling them the real, man. Go get yourself checked out, man. Because some of y'all itching and scratching. The way you scratching down there some days, I think you Jam Master Jay.
There's something really wrong with you, okay? I was with you.
No, but I'm just, you know what, man? I just see the exploitation of the young black woman. You know, the OnlyFans, and you can't go to Twitter unless you're seeing just straight up naked ass all day. Even on Facebook. You know, I mean, it's getting ridiculous to where, you know, you're trying to entice a man, but as soon as he call you out your name, you got a problem with him. Well, bitch, you trying to get money out of me, you know. Well, hold on. You want some money? If you want me to deposit into you, I'm gonna have to deposit into you.
I mean, you know, and here's the thing, though, you know, and I know a lot of women are laughing and stuff, and some women might be taking offense, and we don't mean to offend anybody. We're just kind of having a laugh. But think about what these young girls are doing. How are you going to go to NBA basketball weekend, have not enough money for funds, and then some of them were renting rental trucks to stay in? When did women start doing that?
How you gonna get a PPP loan and then get on the Facebook and ask people to donate to your GoFundMe because you need to pay it back? Do you see what I'm saying, man? Man, go ahead on with that, man. You going to penitentiary. You ain't gonna have to worry about no money. You can only spend about $120 a month.
Yeah, I saw that. She said, because the feds are on me.
You going to jail. Why every time there's a disaster? I remember one time it was a hurricane and somebody in the family called me, say, you gonna go get them food stamps? Man, I don't want no food stamp. Man, get that to the people that need that. Well, I'm going to get mine. I done got 3 sets of it. When they catch you, you going to jail. See, that's what I'm talking about. We stay looking for a way to cut a corner. We stay looking for a hookup. You know what I'm saying? A whole bunch of y'all need to hook up a U-Haul to everything you own and go live out in the country somewhere.
Well, I guess. But yeah, so I mean, we just need a total paradigm shift. We need to just, we just do. Like, we need to just start over, okay? Just start over from scratch and say, this is what we need to do in order to, as Marcus Garvey said, up you mighty nation, accomplish what you will. You can't be a mighty nation twerking, not reading, and, you know, debt. And not taking care of your kid. You can't be a mighty nation doing that kind of stuff. It's just impossible to do. And so we got to start over and build it from the ground up.
Everybody don't need to be twerking. Some of y'all ain't got nothing to work with. You're going to mess around and slip a disc in your back. That's what's going to happen. Some of y'all don't need to be twerking, man. And I'm just saying, we got to change our mind frame about everything. You know, when you go to church nowadays, it's like you at the club. Motherfuckers smelling like alcohol, dressed like they at the club. And I just asked one question one day, and it shut everything down. Is that how you dress when you go to worship a king? Some of you motherfuckers dress better when you go worship Lil Boosie. But you say you go into to the house of the Lord with flip-flops on, but you had them 6-inch heels on last night when you was in there with Lil Boosie them smoking off what's them thing they be smoking? Them hookers. Y'all smoking off them hookers and ain't changing them goddamn filters, and all y'all got bumps around your mouth now.
Like I said, Afro Diaspora says yoga pants ain't for everybody. Why is it that remember when back in our day they had the biker shorts and stuff like that? You know, I'm sorry, ladies, it ain't for everybody. Okay, so you know, just because you can get in them doesn't mean you should. So, oh, and Demetra Rontrell wants to know, where did you get your black fist?
My nephew made them for me. He has a 3D printer and he made them for me. Yeah, I mean, he can make pretty much anything you want with his 3D printer. So I had him. My daughter, I actually stole this from my daughter. She's supposed to be making candles out of this. And this was a replica he made for me. And so I just keep them. But yeah.
Now, I can't pronounce his name. I'll put the comment up. I'll be honest, the Pioneer, they don't teach that in school, maybe sex ed, but last time I checked, I thought everyone got that. No, they don't teach sex ed in school like talking about. But they done roll LGBTQ into the curriculum. Y'all better wake up and see what's going on, man. They ain't gonna teach you about heterosexual in the classroom, but they gonna teach you about that. All education ain't for all people. Final thoughts, Mr. Donovan. We're going to get up out of here.
Final thoughts is thank you guys for tuning in with us at the War Zone. On Thursday, we usually have our financial guru, Walter Couture. He comes in and drops some dimes. Please bring your pens and pads and paper and take some notes. I get a lot of my advice from him. And again, like I said, we're having these shootings. Just because we got a conviction of a certain person doesn't mean the shootings are going to stop. I remember when Barack Obama became president, we were supposed to be a multiracial nation. We ain't got to worry about racism anymore. Now Biden and the Kamala Harris administration is here. This was going to change the game. And as we see, the shootings have more than 6 times have taken off. They said there's over 50 shootings in the last 40 days, mass shootings. So we have to stop getting out of the symbolism and start looking out for our own. Be one first.
D.
So I'm going to say this, and I'm going to actually answer Tandre Hayes. How you doing? Your question in just a second. So Walter's actually going to be here in Houston. We got some business to take care of. So I might just completely give him my seat and let all 3 of you guys speak. And hold your horses. Al wants to do Free Flow Friday with you guys. So I'm going to let him have my seat on Friday, and it's going to be all y'all. So I get a little vacation. Of course, I'm going to be in the background of Peanut Gallery. But anyway, we'll get into that behind the scenes. Tandre, you say, what does a grown woman consider a proper date today with a grown man? Wow. It varies for a lot of women, but to me, now I'm old school now. If you really want my answer, I think that a proper date would be especially if you as a man ask that woman out to a date. I think you should pay. I think you should pick her up. And I think you should come dressed to impress. I'm not saying you should have no tuxedo on, but pull your pants up, a belt would be nice. Just look presentable and come with your conversation, a good conversation, something where you can learn about that woman. Don't go to the carnal stuff like, oh, what's your favorite sex position? And, no, I don't even have that conversation right off the bat. Go asking questions, getting to know her. But to me, a proper date, I am a conversationalist. I love a good conversation. So that for me would be number 1. But like I said, if you ask her out the date to a date, don't expect for her to pay. Now, I'm not saying you got to take her to the Ritz-Carlton. Hell, take it to Applebee's. You ain't got, I'm not saying you got to spend a bunch of money on her, but if you are, wanting to go on a proper date, I think that's a good start. So.
Well, I'm going to end it with this, man. This Saturday we got our monthly virtual fundraiser. I'm running for school board, so 3 o'clock Saturday, right here on the War Zone. Tune in. My people gonna grill me. Nothing is scripted, and I may invite, if y'all cool, good friend of mine. I endorsed it 2 days ago. Stephanie Brown is running for school board over in Fort Bend ISD, and I want her to come sit in, and y'all grill her too. She got a good heart. She's a public servant, and she wants to work for the kids in Fort Bend ISD. So she'll probably be at the voting polls while she's doing it because they're in the middle of early voting. But show up, man, show out. Whatever you can donate, we'll use it towards the campaign so that we can get it to the school board so we can help these kids. Everybody, in order to be a good teacher, you got to have good students. But the whole time you were being a good student, you had teacher tendencies in you the whole time. These kids will only be as great as what we pour into them. And if we don't pour nothing into them, don't be mad at the results of what you see out here nowadays. I applaud you guys that are good parents, good grandparents. It is what it is. It's not easy raising a kid nowadays. More importantly, teach your children some restraint when you're dealing with law enforcement. Make smart decisions. And like Scarface say, man, it's our job, man. Let's try to make it home at the end of the day. When you're dealing with law enforcement, let's just make that what it needs to be. That we need to make it home at the end of the day. And we can live to fight another day. We can live to fight because I'm really tired of showing up on this show or just in life dealing with the fact that we done lost enough. As soon as I get some info on what happened out in Carolina, I'll let y'all know. And then, we can go from there. It's a reason why we the best in the business. It's called the War Zone. Every night, 7 o'clock, we get on like this. Say, I want to thank my good friend, Donovan Sadiq, the Queen, Demetri K, and I, the 5-star general. Bring your common sense tomorrow night. If you're talking about money, my man gonna be talking about it tomorrow night too. The money man Walter is in the building, and then Friday we got Lil L. DeBarge Jr. Al gonna be in the building with us. Free Flow Fridays until tomorrow night, man. We'll holler at y'all.